Just hours after the funeral of Sacramento native Tyre Nichols, the calls for local and national police reform continues to grow, his family vowing to not let his death be in vain. Nichols' beating at the hands of Memphis police has traumatized the entire nation, especially those in the African-American community.
And joining us now to talk more is Dr. Kristee Haggins of Safe Black Space, a group that formed after the Stephon Clark killing. And you work with people dealing with racial stress and anxiety and trauma. And you've been talking with, obviously, a lot of people in the last several days since Tyre Nichols' death. Tell us about what you are hearing from them and how they're coping.
Yeah. I've had an opportunity to speak with people kind of before the video cam footage was released, after it was released, today, as the funeral has occurred, and there's just a range of feelings. Of course, there's rage, outrage, right, and anger, which is, of course, justified. And then there's a sense of profound kind of grief and heaviness that's present as well. There's sadness, there's anxiety, there's concern for safety. Any number of experiences people are having. Things that are very similar to post-traumatic stress disorder, things that you might experience, not sleeping, eating.
Well, many of us, you're just at a loss for words, seeing what happened. So what's the best way for the community to respond, to help the people impacted, and really help them heal?
Well, I wish I had an easy answer, right? That there was one kind of solution or way to respond best to folks who are struggling. And I think part of it is acknowledging that that may be happening for people. Like today, I took, the morning, most of the day off so that I could be present with what I was seeing and witnessing, watching the funeral itself. And so allowing people to have grace and space to grieve or to respond in whatever way that they are, I think is important. And to check in, right, with each other, to check in with ourselves, like how am I responding, what do I need, or what do you need, right? Like I know, or it seems like this is hard for you. So what's going on and how can I help? And that might look like lots of different potential responses that someone might give.
If people want to, they feel like they need more and they want to connect with your group, Safe Black Space, tell us about how they do that. And for example, if parents think their teens need somebody to talk to and maybe they feel like they can't quite do that, what's the best way to connect? Yeah, well, let me tell you maybe a little bit about the organization. So Safe Black Space is a nonprofit, like you mentioned, that really was born out of the tragic killing of Stephon Clark here in Sacramento. Our primary service is community healing circles that we offer particularly for people who are Black identified, who are dealing with anti-racism, and we do them online typically every second Saturday from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Our services are not specifically therapy related or mental health, but they obviously do help provide support to our community and to our people. And what we do try to do, however, is also connect people with other resources. So one of the things I think worth mentioning is on our website. If someone were to Google Safe Black Space or go to our website at safeblackspace.org, we have a resource section, and on there is a mind, body, spirit resource guide, and on there are Black identified providers, right, who fall kind of under those areas of mind, serving maybe clinicians, therapists, bodies, so people who address physical issues, and so forth. So those are some ways, I think, to get connected. One other thing I should mention, too, on our website, on that resources page, is a toolkit. It's called a Racial Trauma Toolkit, and it may give folks an opportunity to learn a little bit more about what people may be experiencing right now.
And you were referencing these online forums where people are coming. How many people come to these, and how long do they last?
Yeah, it really kind of depends in terms of the numbers of folks. I think we might average, it depends, of course, what the issues are, right? It may be 25 people, 50 people. When we were offering circles kind of as an emergency response right after George Floyd, I think we had up to 80, 90 people who were
Just people could come
online.
in the room and just share.
Well, we do some kind of particular practices that are specific to our community and to our culture. But yeah, it's about telling our stories, about reframing this narrative about who we are. It's about connecting with some of our more traditional African cultural values and roots, rather than, and seeing our humanity, rather than being impacted as much as we might be by all the negative messaging about who we are.
You started this group after Stephon Clark, and then we've seen, sadly, so many tragedies since then. Do you still approach your work with hope, though, that there will be change for the better?
Yeah, I absolutely have to. In fact, our tagline for Safe Black Space is home, healing, hope. And the idea that once we lose hope, then in many ways, hope is lost, right? That we are not able to kind of move forward in creating change. And so it is disheartening, it is disappointing, and yet after tragedy, it's a confirmation of the need of this work, of Safe Black Space, of others who are really targeting how to best support and uplift the Black community.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Kristee Haggins, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.